Hey guys, Choppadonk here. I'm trying to show you as quickly as possible the lineup review that I told you I would do. I'm going to try and do this a little bit more this half of the season. I think it's a easy way to put you guys into my head, see how the process comes along, see if I won or lost that night. You're going to see a lot of losing, I promise you that. Hopefully the winning nights are big enough they repair a lot of the damage of the losing. I will start you off with my philosophy in the second half of the season in Major League Baseball, and that's start playing light. Everybody loves playing NFL. Everybody loves gearing up for NFL. And the bottom line is that's what we want to keep our bankroll intact for. Now, if you're having a great baseball season, keep going. But honestly, I tend to scale back myself. I don't play baseball super heavy, and I don't play any of the sports super heavy. I'm not a big guy that's trying to wager thousands of dollars and create a 20% ROI and make, 200, $300 every week or anything like that. That's just not where I choose to spend my time and do my thing. But I enjoy the game very much. I study the game all the time, and I get a thrill out of coaching you guys and seeing you guys do well. So part of that is sharing the process and painting a clearer picture for you guys. So that's kind of what we're doing. Um, when I looked at the overall slate tonight, if I open up the edit screen, then what you're going to see is we don't have a lot to choose from on the 4-game slate up here. When we look at the starting lineups page, your highest graded pitchers were Edwin Jackson, believe it or not, at 70, Robbie Ray at 72. And you come down here a little bit more, and you've got Skaggs at a 45, which is very intriguing to me because I guess mostly he's facing Houston, which does worry me. Even though I chose him and paid up for him, it worries me. LeBlanc is not terrible down here, and I'll show you why. These are the pitchers that we're kind of looking at on this particular slate. I literally went through their game logs, clicked on their name, hit game log, and wanted to see. And this is what I saw that just said for cash type games, Skaggs is it. I'm looking for about 5x, so about 45 points or a little bit more. 1, 2, 3 of his last 5, 4 of his last 6, you know, 4 times or so, about a 40% chance at hitting that number. That's the same as anybody on the slate. It just happens that 5x for him is higher because he costs more. His upside isn't to 70 points or anything crazy like that, but what I'm looking at is the dud factor for cash games. I'm not seeing a large dud factor. I had a couple of bad games down here, but generally speaking, if he only gets me 28 to 30 points tonight, that's okay. And even at 9,400, that's not going to kill me. It's better than if I ended up with, say, if I drop, well, look at Keuchel next. I don't think a lot of people are going to be on him at all. He's been okay lately, but look, we need 45 out of him as well. Didn't get it, barely got it. A 7. Didn't get it. 7, 8. I mean, he got roughed up for a section of the season now. He's repaired the damage, and he might get you 40, 45 points. He doesn't even have upside to 55 or 60, really. So, he's no better. And it's not like Arizona's or LA's, that can't do damage. Derek Rodriguez, when I look through here, this is fairly solid for 8. I need 40 points, though, at 5x, right? Didn't get it, didn't get it. Got it, didn't get it, didn't get it, didn't get it, got it. So, I mean, you're looking at same percentage chance that Skaggs has, and he doesn't have any better upside than Skaggs. He's still pretty expensive. Robbie Ray really threw me 35 to 40 points, so call it about 37, 38 points. No, no, well, scratched or whatever. No, no, yes, yes, yes. And these are going back a ways into April and whatnot because he was injured for a while. So generally speaking, his since coming back from injury, no. He's got the potential. He hadn't done it yet. That's not a cash safe guy. Edwin Jackson had a high rating, which is interesting. About half the time he's hitting value, but that's only over 4 starts, at least 4 starts with the team. Marquez is where I would probably drop down to next. This is great right here. For needs 35 and he's hitting 50 and beyond. This is great, but again, I can't handle a 13. I wouldn't like to see a 24 or a 9. I mean, this is a bad stretch, and this was okay again. So there's risk. James Shields, we need to look at James Shields. He'll probably nut the slate tonight because he's the one I'm ignoring, but Wade LeBlanc, no, no, Yeah, kind of. I mean, this is a little too inconsistent for me. So that's why I landed on Skaggs. When I looked at the rest of these guys, I literally went through the starting lineups page and started looking at high X WOBAs and WOBAs like we've shown in videos. And I come over here, there's nothing really to speak of except for Nick Hundley on San Francisco. Down here, there's a 400 in Piscotty, a 400 in Lowry, a 400 plus in Olson. Khan is actually kind of playable if you're completing that stack. I guess Chris Davis would be playable if you're completing that stack. Simeon's okay, I guess, but I'm not expecting a lot out of these guys. A lot of you guys look at K percentage. That means shit to me. You either get results or you don't. I don't care if you strike out or you don't. You either get results or you don't, period, end of story. When I'm looking at the difference between the X-WOBA and the WOBA, these are the ones that are going to stand out. The X-WOBA's got to be high, first of all, and the WOBA, I like it. I don't care when it's higher, or, I mean, yeah, it's an indication that maybe he's going to come down back to his X-WOBA, but if he comes back to his X-WOBA and it's a 412, he's a hell of a lot better than anybody over here. So, um, those would be my targets in that offense. And again, checking price discrepancies in 2,800 and 4,100, 3,300, 4,200, 3,400, 4,600. I mean, this is ridiculous. That this is DraftKings telling you that this is a great matchup for them. I don't care what RS says. I don't care what DS says. DraftKings has proven out to me over the past couple of years their pricing is more dynamic, and that simply means they're going to play the matchups more. It's like watching Vegas in a way that when they see a good matchup, they jack the prices. And FanDuel doesn't keep up. So I can use that gap to indicate what DraftKings thinks. And again, they've been pretty good. So I'm looking at that as those three guys come down to Colorado. I don't really like them facing Robbie Ray. They are not out of play, though. You could definitely play them. Arenado, Cargo's dirt cheap, 2,900. Look at this price gap. I might almost have to go swap him in an outfield to make that more of a cash safe lineup. I might do that. I didn't realize his ex-Woba was that high. These are all playable. Story's cooled off some. I mean, not in the results, but he has in what he should be doing. You come over here to Arizona. I wound up on a lot of Arizona. Goldschmidt's great. Pollock's okay. These guys down here, Ahmed was in a good spot. Avila, I mean, these are guys that are worth it. I had two first basemen already. I like better than Avila. Don't mind Ahmed, 2,600 to save money. Again, might have to go take Cargo. Looking at Houston, pretty cold, other than Bregman, who's absolutely on fire. And 400 in Altuve, definitely playable. Down here, Fedorowicz is not terrible. So you're looking at these, I wouldn't really be on any of the Angels, especially facing a decent pitcher that's kind of figured it out lately. This does, again, it bothers me, but you can see why I chose what I chose. The White Sox, nothing really spectacular here. Seattle was in a really good spot, but again, who do you take? I mean, Nelson Cruz is in a good spot. Denard Span is in a good spot. These are guys that should be okay. The rest of the lineup needs to help out, and they're not right now. So I don't really see a lot to stack. Oakland would be okay. Doesn't look like Houston as Seattle. Looks like more one-off, two-off type situations. Wouldn't be on LA, wouldn't be on Chicago. Might dip into Colorado for a player or two. Might be on some Arizona. And that's kind of it. That's kind of why I go where I go. And then when I come into my lineups, I have those in the top of my head when I hand build. I just have those on top of my head. Those are the names that I want to see. Who would I take out? Probably Souza if I could. Where's Cargo at? If he's 2,600, 2,900, need to find 300 bucks. And it's going to cost me Olson, Piscotty, Span, Ahmed. It's going to cost me Bregman, Lowry, or Goldschmidt. There may be a sub in there for Lowry. LeMahieu is not bad, but now I got two Colorado Rockies. Gordon, Kinsler, Marte, Descalzo's not starting. He would have been a great play tonight. I may have to let go of Cargo, and just go back where I was. Yeah, okay. So, but you can see why I'm thinking that. I mean, this would not be a bad play. And even running LeMahieu in there with him at the top of the order wouldn't be a bad play. I had myself stacked up. Who did I have in there? I can't even remember now. I have to get out of here to load it up again. I can't even remember who I took out. You're probably yelling at me right now because you can probably remember. Souza. It's not a super sexy play by any stretch, but again, it's not bad. On these cash lineups, I try to spread out, and I wound up stacked. Um, so I threw it in 100 man just because it's stacked 3 by 3 or 3 by 2 at least. Arizona, 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 and then Oakland, Oakland, Oakland. So it's 3 by 3 with a couple of one-offs in Seattle and Houston. And that's not what I thought I was going to do earlier today. You have to be flexible. You have to be willing to trust the numbers, let the numbers lead you where they lead you, and just pray that it works out. You play smart, you play safe. In the second half of the season, you play low and light, and the reason why, again, if you want to just do dollar GPPs the rest of the way, go for it. But the reason why you would play light is because the philosophy, anyway, my experience has taught me that as the season goes on and on and on, the money lines get a little higher and a little higher and a little higher. And why is that? That's not because the game suddenly got tougher. It's because the fish are drying up and leaving. It's because, especially in the summertime with baseball, people are on family vacations. It's because the people that were new at the beginning of the year are starting to figure it out. They're starting to get some education and starting to figure it out. So all of that kind of piles in together and makes the games a little bit tougher. And as the season wears on and people lose interest or they get smarter, your edge goes down. I don't care how big it is. And when your edge goes down, your variance goes up. And when your variance goes up, anything can happen. It does not indicate that you're a horrible player just because you're losing money. Common sense would tell you it means that, but when you understand variance and you understand how volatile this game really is, it really doesn't. It means that the long run for you might be super long and your edge might be super small. And so you have to play, 500 games to even make $10. And if that's the case, you're still beating the game. You're still beating the house's rake, the house's advantage. You're just not beating it by enough that you're going to probably spend a lot of time in the hobby. I don't think anybody is repeatedly cleaning up in baseball. I don't believe the lineup sellers. I don't believe the people out on Twitter telling you that at all because the game has so much variance in it, it's just going to take care of itself. So, anyway, that's a rundown kind of where my thoughts went, where I landed. Hopefully that helps you. Let me know in Slack if it did because I'll do more of it and just walk you through where my thoughts were and where they went and how they evolved as they went. And again, I'm trying to get off this 3 by 3 stack, but I don't think that I can because the numbers in the starting lineups page with ex Wobas and whatnot just dictated that these were the players that I play. And I didn't see, you know, instead of say 3 or 4 on a couple of teams, I didn't see 3 or 4 on 8 teams, or I didn't see, 25 guys that were all just smashing the ball. When that happens, that's when I spread out and do multiple lineups and cut my budget way down and do a bunch of the dollar 100 mans because I'm trying to get the combo that works because it's going to pay me 25 bucks on the dollar. And I don't see that tonight because we're hemmed in a little bit too much on a 4 game slate, and on top of that we have not a lot of options or a lot of solid choices in there other than being contrarian, taking some chances, playing some hunches. Maybe you looked at a different set of numbers, or some guys just appealed to you that don't appeal to me, and that's fine. Hope you're right. I mean, you can very easily be right, and I was looking at the wrong stuff. But I trust what I look at, and that's how I build my articles, and that's how I build my coaching and whatnot. And that's how I try to teach you guys to play because I know that it's a very solid way to play. It's a very competitive way to play across all of the money levels. You could play up in the $100 nosebleeds, or you can play in the dollar, 3 mans, and you're building competitive lineups that every single night have a chance to win. And then from there, really and truly, it is with baseball, just throwing the dice in the cup, shaking the Yahtzee cup, and hoping Yahtzee comes out of it. And when it does, you have to have pieces of it. If you saw another video or something that we talked about, I think I posted it either on Twitter or in Slack, that a guy had 88 lineups. It was a lineup provider I saw on Twitter, 88 lineups. His ROI was a great 27%, but he only showed 5 or 6, good nights. And of those 5 or 6 good nights, they were so ridiculously good that there's no way his ROI was 27% because he was winning every night. Those were the only good nights he had out of 88. lineups, he maybe had 7, 8, maybe 10 really, really good days, and everything else in those 88 days was pretty mediocre. Now, those 6 or 7 days could have been in the very beginning, they could have been at the very end, they could have been one every 3 weeks. Nobody knows because that's what variance does to you. But everything was riding on those 6 days. His entire profit was riding on those 6 or 10 days or whatever. And that's where he made all of his money. And that's baseball. So you guys have to stay exposed to the bigger contests because you never know when your night's going to hit. I tend to do it when I see myself stacking a little bit. I'll toss it in somewhere. When I don't see myself stacking, I know what that does to my floor, which is great, but I know what that also does to my ceiling, and it really lowers it. And so there's no sense in wasting the money and hoping to get lucky on a big GPP or something when you're not stacking because the odds of it happening for you are terrible. The odds are better when you stack. So anyway, I'll sign off here. Hopefully you guys get this, 15 minutes out of this and it's worth your review and hopefully it helps. So let me know in Slack if you like the recap and we'll do more of them. All right, guys, take care.